Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast. And this is a special episode because it's number 200. It's also special for a few other reasons. One of those is I'm doing a video podcast of this episode. And if you want to watch the video, you can head over to our YouTube channel at beginnerguitaracademy.tv. That will take you straight there. I also put it on Facebook and kind of anywhere else I can put it as well. So you'll probably see it around a few places. But yes, the 200th episode. So before we dive in any further, I just want to say a massive thank you to all the listeners that have got this far. If you're a brand new listener, welcome. Hope you enjoy the podcast. If you've been around for a little while, then thank you obviously for your support. And if you are brand new, there are 199 other episodes for you to explore. And if you have been hanging around for a little while, make sure you go back and check out some of the early ones as well if you haven't already. I have had quite a few emails from people that have been listening to podcasts that have said they've already done that. They've listened to it a few times. So you're probably sick of my voice, so I won't spend too long. We'll dive into the good stuff. But yeah, just a massive thank you for checking out the podcast and your support over these 200 episodes. Now, to give you a bit of history of the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast, I've written down on my notes here. So sorry if you see me looking over there. June the 28th, 2019 was the very first episode, way back when. So Beginner Guitar Academy, my online guitar school. I originally started it because I have an offline guitar school in kind of the south of England. And I started then putting lessons online so students could log in when they're not obviously having the lessons with me and learn at home. So not getting bad habits. If there are any questions, they can go and check it out there. Then I thought, well, this would be quite a good thing to open up to anybody who wants to learn this method. The G4 guitar method is the method we use. And so I opened it up. And when did I do that? We relaunched it in November 2020. And relaunched it because I changed a few things. And at that point, it was so people could log in and look at the particular skill they wanted to work on, which was good for my students. So they wanted to work on a particular scale. They went on, looked for that scale and could play it. Wasn't so good for people that wanted to come on and didn't have lessons with me in my offline guitar school. So I created classes. So each class about half an hour, 20 minutes long. And it's like you're having a lesson with me at home. So that's kind of the whole idea of Beginner Guitar Academy, taking the offline idea of you have an actual guitar lesson and putting it online. And then having the teacher support, community, all the good stuff that we have obviously at Beginner Guitar Academy. And then I started podcasting weekly March 2021, and I've done a weekly episode ever since. We've now hit over or around 15,000 downloads a month. We crossed the 500,000 downloads in May 2024, and the podcast's just been going, great guns kind of ever since. So here we are at the 200th episode, and I've got a few announcements to make. One is I've had this question quite a while now from Beginner Guitar Academy members and from people that watch the videos, because I wear a Beginner Guitar Academy t-shirt, and I kept getting the question, where can I get that t-shirt? I looked at some ways to do it. I looked at my students in America, Australia, other parts of Europe, not just England, obviously where I'm from. So it made obviously postage a little bit awkward, but I have now found a way of doing it, and rather than just giving you the kind of the OG Beginner Guitar Academy t-shirt, I've actually created an online guitar t-shirt shop called Guitarshirts.shop, and you can head over there. You'll see we've got a range of Beginner Guitar Academy t-shirts, but we also have a range of other t-shirts as well. And I'm going to be developing this shop as we go through it. At the minute, it's just t-shirts, adult t-shirts. I'll be adding in jumpers, hoodies, kids t-shirts, and other little bits and pieces. We'll have a limited range of G4 merch, because I have a G4 offline guitar school. That'll be on there too. So it's just going to get basically bigger and bigger. But at the minute, it's just launching. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a second. I'll show you around it for those that are watching. And also this episode, we're going to go through listener questions. So in the last week's podcast, I said you can send me your questions and I'll answer them. And I've had a few people that have done that. So I'll be going for their questions in this episode as well. So the things we can look forward to. So let's basically just kick in and I'll talk to you all about Guitarshirts.shop. So as I say, this idea came out because a lot of people asked for guitar t-shirts. And I thought it'd be quite a cool thing to add as well. So just some cool guitar t-shirts. When I've looked for guitar t-shirts for myself, or I've just seen them around, they tend to be quite leery, so quite bright graphics, not t-shirts that I'd probably want to wear day to day. They're t-shirts you'd perhaps get someone for Christmas as kind of maybe like, oh, there's a fun guitar t-shirt. But they probably wouldn't want to wear it every day. It's not kind of look you perhaps want to keep going with. So I wanted to create t-shirts that are cool t-shirts that can show people that you like guitar, that can show off your hobby, but are things you quite like to wear, not stuff that you'd kind of give someone maybe as like a joke present or something like that. So that's what hopefully I've created with Guitarshirts Guitarshirts.shop. So those that are watching on the YouTube video, I'll show that for you now, but obviously I'll describe it for everyone else so you can have a look. Also, you can get an idea of what I'm going through as well. So Guitarshirts.shop. And this is what I've been working on for the last few months. So at the very top here, I've actually created 2 designs to celebrate the 200th podcast episode. One of them I'm actually wearing now, which I should have shown you before I went over to share my screen. Another one is a redesigned logo. So you've probably seen the Beginner Guitar Academy logo, Beginner Guitar Academy words in the pick design. I had it reimagined, so a bit more funky. And they're these top ones here, so you can see those. A range of different colours for those. Then we've got the OG Beginner Guitar Academy, the one I wear in all kind of the videos you'd see me wearing. Then if we scroll down, I've got this one, which I put in the Academy, which is kind of like an 80s logo. It looks pretty cool. I've then got this kind of country logo, I suppose. It looks quite cool. And then this one in the middle, which is this kind of golden guitar. So some really cool Beginner Guitar Academy t-shirts. Again, go and check out Guitarshirts.shop to look at all these ones. And I've just got some really cool ones here, like a nice little rock and roll one. Fueled by Chords and Coffee t-shirt for the coffee drinkers. Life's Better with strings attached. A Guitar Shirts kind of logo t-shirt. Life is better with a guitar. So a few around that kind of idea of life is better with guitar and life is better with strings and things like that. Then I've got one for the older students. So I've got a few people at Beginner Guitar Academy, members that have kind of wanted to play guitar, or perhaps they did when they were younger. And then life gets in the way. You have kids, you have a mortgage to pay, you have a career. And then it kind of takes a back burner. And then you retire and you think, I've got more time now. Let's get rocking again. So here's a t-shirt for that says, officially retired, time to get rocking. And then right at the end, born to rock, forced to work, which I think we all have that problem. We want to play guitar, but career gets in the way. You can come and check out, say, Guitarshirts.shop. And the cool thing is I'm running a 20% off at the minute, launch discount. So to celebrate, obviously, launch the shop. And that is going to be running all the way through to Monday. And that is going to be Monday the 23rd of September. So over the weekend, you have 20% off. So you can come and get a little bit of a reduction on some cool t-shirts. So yeah, go and check that out, guys. And let's get back to it. Let me come back on camera. And here's the shirt for those that can see it. This is the 200 episode shirt. You can see at the bottom there, it says 200 episode, has a date. So yeah, quite a cool t-shirt. So go and check out Guitarshirts.shop, 20% off for the next few days. Right, now I want to go over some student questions, or not just student questions, anyone could send in questions. A lot of people were Beginner Guitar Academy students, not all of them though. So let's just dive into the first one. And the first one is something that I've wondered about from time to time is whether counting beats to keep in time is something you actually do when you perform music, or really only to help you understand how to play the piece. I find it easier to play a song along with the music versus trying to count it out at a particular speed without the music. And that's from Wade. So I get these questions quite a lot, especially with like rhythm stuff, like just trying to tap your foot and stay in time with the beat, counting. Mainly because it's really hard to do. And people always want, want that easier kind of hack. There must be an easy way of doing it. So yes, if I'm playing a song, I'm still tapping my foot. I'm thinking about beats. I'm thinking about the timing, especially if I've got the sheet music up. A great example of this is at the minute we are starting to get students ready at my offline guitar school for our show we do in December, sort of end of year Christmas show. So all the groups, we're kind of getting the songs. Some of them I don't know. Like we're doing Wasted Years with one of my group, the Iron Maiden track. Yesterday I started an REM track. Is it the one I love? I think it was. I don't know those songs, but I can get the sheet music up. I've got a subscription with Guitarinstructor.com, which is a really cool website that has sheet music. You can just download that. And then I whack it on the board and obviously we go through it. Now, I don't know those songs. And then I can't say to the students, oh, wait a minute, let's just listen to it so I can get the rhythm and get an idea of how it's supposed to sound. My old guitar teacher said that. And there's a question later, I'll kind of go in a bit more in depth to that. But yeah, you can't do that. So as a guitar teacher, as a professional performer, if you can read music, it makes it so much quicker because obviously I'm reading it straight off the board. I can look at the rhythms, not have heard the track before, and show people how to play it. That's a benefit. As someone that's learning the guitar, having an understanding of rhythm is going to make you a better rhythm guitar player. If you know the difference between quarter notes, and eighth notes, and 16th notes, dotted notes, tied notes, how to play off the beat, how to play on the beat, that's going to make you so much better as a guitar player because then you understand different rhythms and how you can play them. I always say to students when we go through some of the exercises, as we go through the G4 method, the method we use at Beginner Guitar Academy, there's a whole page on 16th notes and different rhythms that show you how to play that. There's different exercises that play dotted notes. If you can then get into your head those different rhythms, you can then play them when you're improvising or just strumming and you want to come up with a nice strum pattern. It gives you this archive of rhythms. Yes, eventually you might not be thinking, oh, that's 16th notes. You might just be going with the flow of the music, which is obviously kind of where we want to get to eventually. And you've memorized it, so you don't have to be thinking too much about it because it's ingrained into your playing and habitualized. You'll get to that point. But definitely in the early days, yeah, we want to think about rhythm. We want to know what the beats are. We want to be able to count along as we're playing and doing like a 1 E and a 2 E and a D E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a D E and a 4 and. So yeah, I can count along and I can do it quite fast tempos. I can even visualize the rhythm in my head that I'm strumming. I can even visualize the rhythm I'm hearing. If I come up with something in my head, I can do it that way as well. Again, that's just 25 years of experience. But for Beginner Guitar Academy students, my mission is to give you all the tools. Not just, here's a fun song, copy what I'm doing. There's the chord, here's the strum pattern, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, up. You see all the time in YouTube videos. Down, up, 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 down, up is great for that song. But down, up, 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 down, up, down, up won't help you then if you're doing more of an offbeat pattern or you're doing more of a particular genre and you need that kind of feel. You don't understand what down, up is in regard to music. You understand what it is in regard to moving your strumming hand. That don't help us with any other songs. That's a problem of thinking just that way. As soon as you start looking at different songs, you can't then take the down, up with you because down, up is not music. That is directions you move in your hand. That works. If someone's telling you it and showing you it, it makes sense. You can match up that directional description with the sound that he's making or she's making. You can't do that along too if they're not there. So again, that's another reason why we want to be able to think of rhythm. We want to understand it. It just makes you more of an accomplished guitar player. It's going to make you more of an independent guitar player, so you won't need someone to play something to. But yes, it is hard to do that. It's always easier to come in through the ear than to come in through the eyes. In a musical sense. I've sounded a bit rude. So yeah, it's always easier for the sound to come in through the ears than the music notation to come in through the eyes. It's also, but again, it's like any skill, it just takes a while to develop. So hopefully that gives you an answer there, Wade, and hopefully that makes a bit more sense. And let's go on to the next one. This next one's actually a voicemail, and some of them are, so I'll let that play and then we'll go through it.
Hi Paul, this is Malte speaking. I have one question, and this is regards of the future. What, or if you have plans to do something after all the lessons of Beginner Guitar Academy, so for example, some things for intermediate or more professional ones, because I really like your way of teaching. Thank you.
So, great question, Malte, and I quite get this quite often from students, especially when they're nearing the end of our 5 levels. So we have a 5-level system at Beginner Guitar Academy. Malte is the only student on level 5. He's the one that made me have to work hard to get the videos up, the classes, which took, well, as Malte would know, I think he finished level 4 the end or the last year or the beginning of this year, and it took me then up to and the beginning of August, end of kind of July, to finish up the classes and getting back for level 5. But he's given me some feedback already saying he's enjoying level 5. And that was just the first couple of videos. He actually sent me through his first progress check. So he's flying through. He's had some experience before. We're just kind of filling in some of the gaps and kind of improving on his knowledge. But anyway, to answer Malte's question of what happens after level 5, there is nothing after level 5 at the minute. There might be in the future. I'm not ruling it out as I'll do more advanced stuff. The idea through the 5 levels and the G4 method, this is what I tell students in my offline guitar school as well that go through the G4 method. I have a G4 guitar school. I use the exact same method. I'm licensed, I'm qualified, I'm trained to teach the G4 method. What I tell them is once you do that, the G4 method will give you a very strong foundation. After you reach level 5, then you specialize. So you'll get to that point where you'll have a very strong foundation in all the 7 skills we teach, be it picking, chords, arpeggio, scales, rhythm, note reading. Then it's time to specialize in what you want to learn. So that might be you want to become a jazz guitar player, country guitar player, you want to do metal, you want to do rock, but you'll probably find you'll start drifting in a particular way. Then it's time to find a teacher that specializes in that, basically. So that's what I recommend to students once they finish level 5 is, you specialize into whatever genre you want to look at. And a great site for that is something like truefire.com, because they have very high level teachers that are specialists in those different areas. Or something like that, you might study with a particular teacher who, you really like his playing and he does online lessons and he's like a great bluegrass player or a great country player or rock or blues or something like that. Now my area expertise is more rock and blues, so I might do something maybe next year, maybe a couple of years of a more advanced level in that style. So you can still study with me, but I'll be specialising in that genre. For those who want to go obviously that little bit further, because like Malte said, you might like the way I teach. You might like me as a teacher, so you want to hang around. So that's not something I'm not saying that will happen in the future. It's not something that's going to happen in the immediate future. Now I finished level 5, I'm going to go back, redo level 1. I've already come up with some ideas of things I want to go through to do that, which I'll probably talk about in a question later on, because there is one about the future of Beginner Guitar Academy. But yeah, nothing at the minute. The idea when you finish level 5 is to specialise in what you want to do with people that can do that genre really well. You know, I'm not a great country guy, I'm not a great jazz guy. You can't be the best at everything if you want to be good at one particular thing. You can be an all-rounder, and I'd say I can do a little bit of everything, but not to a very high level. So I wouldn't take on a classical guitar student because I don't do classical guitar. I wouldn't do that. I'd refer them on to someone else. So that's kind of what I'm doing at the end of those 5 levels, referring you on to someone that specialises in what you want to learn. So I hope that answers that, and let's move on to the next question. So we have, other than buying your book, which I did, is there some way to do a one-time thank you payment to you? And this is from Kathy. Now, Kathy's been around Beginning Guitar for a little while. She's not a member of the Academy, but I know she's been listening to podcasts for quite a while. She's attended some of the live things we do when we've done a few challenges, which there'll be more coming up, just to kind of tease you with that soon. So yeah, she's been around, but I'm trying to remember what she wrote. She wrote a bit more in a question. I've kind of shut down to that, and I think it was just that she can't commit. Some people can't commit to regular online lessons like Beginner Guitar Academy, a regular subscription, because they just can't have the times. Maybe they're commuting a lot and they just can't put in the practice, or it's quite a monthly outlay. I just the other night cancelled a few subscriptions I haven't used for a little while because I'm still paying for them. I'm not using them. So this, some people just can't commit to that because Beginner Guitar Academy isn't cheap. We're one of the higher rated, I was going to say higher priced online guitar schools with $39. Reason why is because we're not like any other online guitar school. You get so much of my attention. I'm in the forums every day. Students ask me a question, I'll quite often reply back with a video with their personalised question. So basically one-on-one lessons whenever you need it, or one-to-one support. Not really one-on-one lessons, but support. If someone has a question, they'll say it to me, I'm giving them their personalised feedback. Same as I go through the course and we have the progress checks and level assessments, it's personalised feedback. You don't get that with many other, if any. If you do get it, you have to pay extra for the privilege. Beginner Guitar, that's just rolled all into the price. So we are that bit more expensive, obviously for good reason. So at the minute, no, there isn't anything you can do if you wanted to, buy me a coffee to say thank you or anything like that. All you can do is just recommend the podcast to, people that might like it. That'd be, I'd really appreciate that. Obviously, we've got Guitarshirts.shop. So if you want a funky t-shirt, then that'd be a great way of showing your support. But again, to in something, I'm looking at ways of adding a little bit extra for the podcast. It's like a membership for the podcast, but it's obviously not as hardcore in regards to the time you'd need to put in for it. It'd be like $5 a month or something. But then for the podcast, you get extra videos to match the different episodes. You get little worksheets and stuff like that. It's just kind of giving you a little bit extra, but it's not something that you're going to have to, it's not going to break the bank. It'd be the cost of, like going to Starbucks or something like that. So I'm looking at ways to do that. So hopefully in the next couple of months there will be something, Kathy, but at the minute there isn't really, unless you fancy a t-shirt. And thank you obviously for buying my book. So I should probably make a plug for that. Yep, you can head over to Amazon. I've got a guitar book, so guitar kind of method manual called Learn to Play Electric Guitar. It was the #1 bestseller for quite a while. It outsold Slash's autobiography and Morrissey's autobiography. I think I only did that for about 2 hours, but I'm still going to say that because it happened. I've got screen grabs to show you that if you don't believe me. So yeah, that is available. Also got a blues book that looks at the 3 kings, so B.B. King, Freddie King and Albert King as well. We deep dive into that. So if you're going over to Amazon, you'll see all the links there. You can go to 6stringbooks.com to see all the links there too. 6 is just the number 6, stringbooks.com, and you'll see all the links and stuff there. So let's move on to the next question.
Hi Paul, Andy Stoll here. Love the Academy and the podcast. Despite being called Beginners at Guitar Academy, at what level would you consider us no longer a beginner? Are we level 4, level 5, or after completing level 5? Also, how do the BGA levels compare with the UK music grade system? For example, is BGA level 1 akin to grade 1, or are they completely different and comparisons not helpful? Thank you.
So, to answer Andy's question, and let's go the first little bit. So, well, one thing I kind of regret calling it Beginner Guitar Academy, because you very much have that already, that notion that it is just for beginners. You know, if I can play a G chord, it's probably not for me. We go so above that. Like, we start obviously very much at the beginning, and I mainly teach beginners. That's, I suppose, why I've done that, because a lot of the people that come to my offline guitar school, you know, we have obviously a lot of beginners. A lot of people then will quit after 2 or 3 years, or some obviously don't. I've had students there which I've had for like 8 years. So I kind of regret calling Beginner Guitar Academy, but we go to quite advanced, and I could bring in the grades to explain this quite nicely, to be honest. And just to tell you what grades are, because especially the American audience probably won't understand what that is. In the UK, we talk a lot about grades. In Australia, they have the grades. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. Grades are kind of like the belts in karate, is a good way to think about it. It's a qualification in music performance quite often. You can do theory grades as well, but quite often when people talk about grades, they're talking about performance grades. And then how that normally works is you get a book, it tells you what you need to learn, you learn some scales, some chords, you learn a few songs, you maybe some ear training, maybe some sight reading as well, tests, and then you book a time with an examiner. You can do that in person, and you now can do it online as well, or you can send them a video of you performing that material, and then they'll say if you're good enough to pass it. A lot of these are private institutes, like there's one called Rock School, there's one I use called Trinity, Rock and Pop exams that we use at offline school that I've now bringing to Beginner Guitar Academy as well. So it gives you kind of an idea of where you are in your kind of levels, and you pass that, pass merit distinction. Grade 8 is the highest you can get, so that's kind of like the black belt. You can start initial, which is kind of like the white belt, and then you kind of have the belts going through it. So that's what grades are if you don't know what they are. They're a way of assessing kind of where you are and kind of your level, and as obviously you go through them, they build up with the techniques they use and complexity of obviously the material that you've got to play. Now, at Beginner Guitar Academy, I've brought in some of the grade pieces. So the grade pieces from Trinity Rock and Pop are rock and pop songs. When we do our level 4, we do grade 4 pieces. When we do our level 5, we do grade 5 pieces. Once you hit level 6, that is advanced level. 6, 7, 8 advanced. 4 and 5 are kind of intermediate, going to obviously late intermediate. And then before that are beginner. So I take you through these 5 levels of Beginner Guitar Academy, all up to that grade 5 level, which is that kind of advanced intermediate level. Once you hit 6, 7, and 8, that's advanced level. So hopefully that answers all those questions. So even though we're called Beginner Guitar Academy, we're not just for beginners. So next question from Lee: what differentiates the difference between different genres or different music from a guitar perspective? When does pop become folk or country, and when does blues become rock or rock become metal? So let's talk a little bit about that. And if you are a Beginner Guitar Academy member, which I know Lee is, then go and check out the workshop section. I've done workshops in there which are rock based, pop, what else we've got? Blues, like learning blues rhythm, learning blues lead. But it's a lot of the skills will be the same. So we might look at a scale, for instance, and think, well, that's quite a nice happy scale. But if I play this scale, hold on, that sounds bluesy now. That's the blues scale. If I play this scale, might sound a bit more rock. I kind of made it a bit more blues rock tonight at the end. But you see what I mean? It's all the same sort of tools. It's just then how you're going to play it for different genres. If I take a power chord, that sounds more rock. But if I put a finger in there, so an extra finger, I've got blues now. Just by adding an extra finger. So adding this 5 chord to the 6th chord. I could do an E chord. We got Back in Black. But if I play that E chord but pick the E string, strum the chord, play the A string, hold on, now I've gone country now. But I'm still playing the same chord, I'm picking it differently. So you can see it's all the same sort of ingredients, which is why we teach the skills at Beginner Guitar Academy, the chords, the rhythm, the picking, all the stuff I talked about earlier. Because any genre you look at, any song you look at, any style you look at is going to use those different skills. They're going to use them slightly differently. So, if I do a power chord, that will sound quite rocking. Again, back in Black. But if I do like a gallop rhythm, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a metal rhythm. So it starts to sound more metal. If I then change the tone and put like a metal effect on it, it's going to sound more metal than if I put like like a particular pedal, like an overdrive pedal, it's going to make it break up and sound a bit more like blues rock. So the effects can add, those different sounds as well. Obviously different rhythms. So if we're doing like that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that starts to sound reggae because I'm playing an offbeat. Wherever I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, that sounds like a pop down. So you see what I mean? So skills remain the same. You're just going to change the rhythm. You might have some sub skills as well, like tapping and things like that, or sweep picking for your more advanced kind of rock stuff, like that blues rhythm I was talking about then, that spread rhythm, stuff like that, certain types of bends and things like that. But it all comes from the same little pool of skills that we talk about: the scales, the picking, the rhythm, all that kind of good stuff. So hopefully I answered that question, Lee, and let's jump on to the next one.
Hi, Paul. It's Scott Fisher. I have a few questions. How do you approach podcasting differently now on your 200th episode than you did on your first episode? What about the online community that you created with Beginning Guitar Academy has surprised you the most? And what are you most excited about adding to your program in the future? Okay, thanks.
So some good questions by Scott there. So we'll go through obviously each one at a time. So first one, how do I approach podcasting differently? Quite a lot differently now that I know people are listening. So like I say, we're having 15,000 downloads a month. I don't promote the podcast. This is all organically grown. This is one of the main drivers for the school. Haven't really done any other marketing because I've been so focused on building the content, which, if you're launching a business, that's not the way to do it. You build your audience first, and then you build the product on what the audience wants. I did it the other way around. Well, kind of, because obviously I had the offline guitar school. People wanted some videos at home to practice, and it kind of came from that. So I did kind of the audience, but not a big online audience. That was kind of a local audience where I live. So now people are listening. I'm approaching differently because I'm spending obviously more time thinking about the episodes. It's spending more time thinking about it now because obviously 200 episodes in, thinking a bit more about what I can do, original episodes, original ideas, a little bit more work now on the production, on the sound quality, that sort of stuff. I'm spending more money on some of the gear and that kind of thing. You'll notice the artwork changed a few months back, so I hired a designer to do the artwork, and I'm doing that more and more with the stuff I'm doing. Obviously reaching a bigger audience, I want it to look professional and look, because a lot of the stuff up to now I've done myself. And I think it's having time as well. If I'm spending time on designing things, I'm then spending time on my members in Beginner Guitar Co, which is obviously where I'm only spending my time. So that's kind of the main difference, spending more time on what I'm actually doing, thinking about how it's going to be beneficial to people that are listening. When I had 3 or 4 listeners, that didn't matter, but obviously when we have 15,000, that makes a big difference. In regards to the online community, so Beginner Guitar Academy, one of the cool things about it is we have forums, and the people in there every day. It's brilliant. Obviously, I'm in there every day, so it gives me more work. But it's great because a lot of people are posting their practice, and it's something I encourage them to do, what we call the practice journals, where they have a part in the forum, which is just their place to post. They post what they're practicing. I read those, and then I can add comments. So someone might say, I'm having trouble with this, and I'll give them some ideas. So you literally have a guitar teacher checking your practice. As many times as you want to post it. Again, some people do it every day, so I'm in there every day reading it and giving feedback if they need it, or if they might not even want that. They might just be brain dumping some of the ideas or just writing down for themselves so they can come back in a few months and see what they've been working on and give some good for motivation. You're struggling a little bit, you go back in a few months, you see, I struggled with that. Now that's really easy. Oh yeah, I am getting better. Now I feel a little bit better now, this roadblock I'm at the minute, because I can see I got past that previous one. And, just have a conversation. Every week ask a particular question, everyone dives on there, and, other little things we post there, like gear, performance videos, so people put videos in there of them playing different things. It's really cool. So I suppose that's one of the main things that will surprise me about the community, of just how much people have really gone into it. Like everything, we've got 150 members. There's probably about 30 members that are in there quite often, but you have that of any community, especially online. There'll be the people that want it and dive in there, more people that just discuss it. But you have the introverts that don't want to be out there and sort of, answering questions and sparking conversations and stuff like that. And one thing with Scott, he met up with another one of our members, Craig, and that was a really cool thing to see. Actually, members that met online meet in person and jam and play together, which was really, really cool. So something we're going to lean into more of that, and something I'm excited about the future is that kind of aspect of it. We're going to do some more online stuff of bringing members together and just hanging out and just getting to know one another, and looking at maybe more meetups. Obviously, being in the UK, that's going to be hard to go to America. Hopefully, when we have some more members, I might have a bit of more option to do that. But online meetups, I keep dropping my pick, which is going to be a problem when I try and play something in a minute. I'm looking forward to that. I've got so many good ideas, and now the levels are done. The levels have taken me, when we revamped the website back in, was it 2020 I said? I've got the date now. Whenever I said it was. I think it was 2020, it was in November 2020. I've been working on the content for that long, just getting these levels done. It's taken that long. And obviously I re-recorded quite a lot of them because I upgraded my equipment and stuff, and I could do better, so I wanted to do better. That's done now. So I'm going to redo level 1. There's a few tweaks I'm going to do for the other levels, but the bulk of it is done. So now I can do the fun stuff that I've envisioned for the years that I just couldn't put the time into. So there's going to be a lot of things changing beginning Guitar Academy, the ending of this year and the beginning of next year. And obviously just moving forward. So stuff like this, just to give you some ideas, I'll be revamping the community a little bit, adding space in there for different levels. I've had that, a lot of people ask me about that how do I know who's on level 1 and how can I talk to people on level 1, how can we exchange ideas? There is a place in the forum to do that, but it's really for support. There's going to be a club for that. It's actually called Clubs in the software I use. So I'm going to play around with that. I'm reluctant to say it because I've not explored it yet. I think it'll work, and we'll give it a go and see if it does. In regard to beginner guitar academy, again, there's loads of other things that I've got in my mind to do. I don't want to say them out now just in case I can't do them. But one thing I'll definitely be doing is going back in with the older songs, having the playthrough videos where it has a scrolling tab and the demo track, which makes it so much easier to learn songs. All the songs throughout the levels will have that. The high levels have it because I started implementing that as I was working through level 4 and 5. They have these play along videos. But I'm going to go back and add them to the previous ones as well. I'm also looking at some other cool things. Again, I'm not going to say it yet because I haven't explored it enough to commit to adding it. But yeah, hopefully some cool stuff there. So let's move on to the next question. And this is from Art. And how long should I stall myself out in a single class in the academy before I move to the next class? Should I master the entire class before moving on? Now, this is a question which I do get quite a lot for the beginner guitar academy stuff. And it's good for people that even aren't students. So when do you move on to the next song? And you find that you move on too quickly and you have a bit of a song, a bit of this one, a bit of that one. I could do the riff, I could do maybe the chorus, I could do that. But then you can't play a song all the way through. You just have these fragments of songs. Or you become like a riff junkie where you just do a new riff every time. Can't play a whole song, but you know all these cool riffs. You can play Back in Black riff. You can play Smells Like Teen Spirit. You can play Come As You Are riff. But you don't know full songs. So there's got to be a point where you do be disciplined with yourself, that you obviously put in the time to learn songs. So when someone says, oh, you know, John, you play guitar, play us a tune. You're like, I can't play a song all the way through. I've just learned riffs. I can't demonstrate anything. So the idea is you have a good kind of like 5 songs maybe that you play over and over again. Even as you go through beginner guitar academy, once you've ticked off songs, you know, you've finished that level, still go through them. Because there's different levels of learning a song. There's that level where you start it obviously. Then the level where you start putting the chords together and you can kind of strum through it. You've not memorized it and you've not mastered it. The next is memorization. So you've memorized that song. You don't have to look at the music anymore. Then there's mastery. So there's different levels you need to get through. Mastery is where you don't have to think about it. You can play the song. You can talk to someone else like I'm doing now. And I can play, Knock on Heaven's Door, not even thinking about playing Knock on Heaven's Door because I know it so well. That's the level of mastery. And that's when you're confident of playing in front of people. This is why bands rehearse so much before they go and gig, because they want to be at that level of mastered it. They need to be on stage, not thinking about, oh crap, what's the chords in the chorus? What are the lyrics? So yeah, that's where you want to get to. I'm trying to remember the rest of the question, sorry. I forgot the rest of what we said. That was kind of it. So how long you should stay on a class? This is great for beginner guitar academy students because there shouldn't really be any doubt. We have an idea. So if we work on exercises, you'll have a tempo you need to reach for that level. Level 1 is 60 beats per minute. So if you can't play a C major scale of 60 beats per minute with down up picking, I can't, I just made a mistake. But if you can't do that 60 beats per minute, down up picking, you shouldn't really move on. But I would definitely recommend doing maybe 3 classes or so at a time, just so you don't get bored. We want variety in our practice. As you're going through the different classes, we should be working through obviously the 7 essential skills, and you should be rotating those skills every time you practice, so you're not leaving anything out. So the worst thing you do is just practice chords for a month, then you've forgotten your rhythm, you've forgotten your scales, you've forgotten your sight reading, you've gone weak on your ear training. You want to be working on all the skills, rotating them around so you don't fall down anything. Everything is coming up. All 7 skills you're leveling up at the same time is where you want to get to. And then it's really personal decision. When you're ready to move on to a song, yes, we want to get to that mastery, but you don't want to do it so you hate the song. That's why I always say simplify stuff. I was doing this, what were we doing? What was the song? It was a Thin Lizzy song, Whiskey in the Jar. And, it's got that cool little riff. Something like that, isn't it? So it's something like that. But you could spend, this is what I mean. We learned that song. I don't know that song. I was reading it off the board. Without the music, I still don't really know it. But we could spend months just working on that riff because it's a bit fiddly. I got them just to go through the strumming chords. E minor is in there, and it's very simple for them because they're a high level group. But the idea is to get through the song as quickly as possible, hear the structure, get in our head the style and the sound of the music, then come back through and work on the harder stuff. So always try and bear that man. Simplify, get through it, then come back and make it harder. That will stop you from kind of pulling your hair out and getting really stuck with these songs. He then goes on to say he's learning Jane Says, which song we do in level 2. It has this annoying bar chord, which is quite early. We don't normally do bar chords for that. We're doing barring. We do that in level 1 when we do Smoke on the Water. We do look at holding down 2 strings at the same time. But that is an awkward one to do, so that'll take a bit of time. But I have put in some of these kind of trickier tunes to kind of make you guys work a little bit. To give you, because once you get over that hurdle of, it's taking me a little while, good few weeks to get these bars going, but now I can do it, it opens a door to other songs and that next level of performance or performer's ability to be able to do it. So yeah, hang in there, Art. It will get easier. But if you're not already, because you just said a single class, do a few classes at once. You're ready to move on once you can hit that tempo. Doesn't have to be perfect because obviously you'll get better and better as you move through the program. Your skills will get stronger. So we don't want to be developing, perfect playing in the first few classes when they're 20 classes. By the end of the level, when we start doing assessment, then we should have a very good level of playing. But obviously we built up to that over the course of those few months of getting to it. So yeah, if you're quite early on in class 4, so we shouldn't be, at this tremendous level yet. That will develop as we go through. So let's move on to the next question.
Hi, Paul. It's Raj here. So actually, I wanted to ask you a question. So you're practicing something on the guitar, something really awkward that you just can't get right. So like for me right now, it's these arpeggios and quick changes, or for example, the song choice around Sweet Child of Mine, trying to get the speed up. And you know how it is, you'll kind of take a break, come back to it, still realize you can't do it. In your guitar playing, what's been the one major sticking point that you had that's taken the longest to master? All right, thanks very much. I better get back onto Sweet Child of Mine. Oh, it's so frustrating.
At the end, he said, so frustrating. If you hear that. So yeah, Raj is level 4. Sweet Child of Mine, we do at level 4. I put it as one of the big first songs students go through. It is a hard song. It's quick. It's quite high level. But I did that obviously intentionally to give you guys, it's one of those songs that it's going to take probably months to crack it and feel like you're really happy with it. But on the other side of that, you'd have gone to that next level as a guitar player. And you'd be like, oh, everything feels so much easier now because I can pick, that arpeggio. Shall I play properly? I can pick that arpeggio so much better now. I've got the speed, I've got the accuracy to move between strings and skip certain strings. Same with the chorus part as well. That's going to be the benefit here. At the minute, it's awkward, it's frustrating because, we've hit that wall of our ability. But once we keep practicing, start climbing up that wall, get over the other side, it's a whole new place because it opens up a whole lot of new stuff because we've got now those skills. So yeah, it's frustrating, but over the other side of it, it's going to be so worth it, I promise you. And then, what was Roger's question? Stuff that I've got over, there's been numerous over the last few years. I remember when I first started, it was palm muting. The bands I wanted to learn, as soon as I started, were things like Green Day, Blink-182. That was the stuff I was listening to at college in that sort of time when I started, or kind of the end of school, Nirvana and those kind of bands. Quick palm muted stuff. One of my favourite songs was Damn It by Blink-182. So trying to play that sort of speed, I just could not do it. It was driving me insane. Because obviously I want to play along the track. I want to play along with one of my favourite songs. I could not do that for ages. Other things was fast picking. I lost my pick again. Fast picking stuff. I remember I was trying to do, I can't remember even what it was now, some sort of riff. And then one day I picked up and I was like, oh my, wow, I can pick fast now. I've not been working on that. It kind of worked on it without working on it, if that makes sense. You'll find this with certain skills. Other skills complement other skills. So you won't necessarily be working on a particular technique, but something else will help you develop that, if that makes sense. So you'll find that all the way through it. So yeah, loads of different sticking things. Jazz chords will be a sticking thing of just remembering all these awkward bloody chords. As I went up to the different grades, I did grade 8 music theory. That was a bit of a roadblock, trying to remember all how everything worked and kind of the theoretical side of music. I remember spending a fair time on that. Playing different genres, I still have that now with kids that come into me to lessons. They want to learn certain stuff. Iron Maiden, I'm not really a heavy metal guy or metal guy, so certain stuff there I need to work on, the gallops and stuff, and playing that sort of speed and the solos. So stuff that I need to sit down and kind of woodshed a little bit before I teach it, even now. Because again, you can't know everything, and you'd be obviously arrogant and the ego if you thought you did. So yeah, so there's always going to be stuff for Raj. But Raj is doing fantastic. And level 4 is a toughie. There's a lot of performance in level 4. I've made it that way. Certain levels have certain themes. Level 4 is definitely performance based. We start bringing the grade songs, so we're focused on performance. And there's some big tunes, but there's some cool stuff. We look at all the minor pentatonic scales, big lean into improvisation. So yeah, it's a cool one to look at. So let's move on to the next question. And this is from Martin. So what advice would you give to someone who feels like they've hit a wall? I mean, let's say you plod along learning new scales, arpeggios, riffs and songs, etc. And after a few days/week, you become semi-proficient, but then something comes along and no matter what you do, you can't seem to master it. Also, in your 25 years, how many times have you felt like you've hit a wall? So I've said a few bits like this already, haven't I? But you are going to hit walls in your playing, because you'll hit skill walls where you need to work on certain skills to get over it. I know Martin's in the same place as Raj, chipping away at Sweet Child of Mine. Again, it's a hard song. So imagine that's kind of what he's probably talking about in that regard. He also practices a lot as well and practices every day. He's one of the guys that posts his practice in the community. And you'll probably get to a point where you do get probably a bit burnt out. You're doing that and it gets quite monotonous. So you've got to mix it up. Your skills, your workshops. I've created Beginner Guitar Academy, so we have this core syllabus of the skills. But around that, we've got the workshops, we've got the songs, we've got the riffs, we've got the cool stuff you can add into it, so it makes it a bit more exciting. Not that skills aren't exciting, why wouldn't you want to sit there and work with a metronome, work on your scales? That's the stuff that's going to make you a better player. Simple as that. That's why if you play football, so I'm talking about like soccer, you'd work on your passing, your shooting, your heading, your dribbling. People like David Beckham, which I'm sure you've heard of, trying to pick someone that you might have heard of. He's known for his free kicks. Now, he drilled them every day for years. And I remember there's a story of thing he was doing with his dad, just over and over again, just practicing that type of one kick. There's that great Bruce Lee quote, I don't fear the man that knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that's practiced one kick 10,000 times. So it's that repetition that will make you a better player. But it's also that repetition you've got to be very disciplined to do, because it isn't the funnest thing to do. We want to play songs. That's why we want to learn guitar. So you've got to mix up a little bit. But yeah, you're going to hit those walls. I had them all the way through my 25 years, because I said that with Raj's question. And there's times I put down the guitar for a few weeks and just had enough of it, and then I'll pick it up again. There was times when my guitar teacher, way back, my first guitar teacher actually told me, right, it's great you come along and I enjoy the money, but you're not practicing, you're not progressing. And I remember that was a shock to system. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not. He called me out on it. You want to be a good guitar player, you're not going to be unless you're actually putting the time. So you will have times when perhaps you want to just take a bit of downtime. Perhaps you need to spend a couple of weeks just on a particular tune, or go back a stage and play some of the fun old songs you learned that you can pick up really quickly and enjoy the instrument and just have a little bit of a jam. Anything like that will really help get over those hurdles. There's a great podcast episode on how to get your motivation and, how to kind of, if you're in a bit of a slump, how to reignite that. So definitely go back through the old episodes and check out that one. But hopefully that has answered that question. So, question from David. Could you tell us a bit more about your guitar journey? For example, what inspired you to start learning? How many teachers have you had? Which parts of learning did you find the most difficult? Have you been in any bands over the years? And do you have any guitar goals outside of growing Beginner Guitar Academy? Okay, so let's go through some of those. So my guitar playing journey, I started playing when I was 16. And I hear from a lot of people that, oh, if you don't start playing when you're like 7, then there's no point. There's been loads of successful guitar players that have played, or started quite late. So you can always do that. And what inspired me to learn was, I said earlier, like bands like Green Day, Nirvana. It was actually my sister's boyfriend at the time was listening to those sort of bands. And every time we used to go out with him, like he would go to the cinema, he would get a cassette tape out of his boot. He's had loads of tapes in his boot and he'd put one in. And every time it was like something completely new. One day it would be like Nirvana, next day it'd be Metallica, next day it'd be like L7, next day it'd be like Korn or something like that. All these different bands, and never heard of them before, and it was just hearing all these different music, but obviously guitar-driven stuff. So that's what really got me into it. Then I went to obviously learn guitar. They didn't teach it. I actually remember I went to learn guitar at primary school. I don't know why, but I did have that initial wanting to play it, but they didn't teach it there. Secondary school they did, but the first thing we learned was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, something like that, so I just put it down. It was a classical guitar. Then at the end of it, say my sister's boyfriend came on the scene, I started listening to rock music. Then I picked up again. My very first teacher, who you'll probably know because he does some YouTubey stuff, but I won't say his name. But he was a great teacher, but he's one of these things that I talk about quite often where he's a great player. He wasn't actually a great guitar teacher. So he was a phenomenal player. He was a really nice guy, but he was a performer. He wrote songs. He gigged. His heart wasn't in teaching, basically. Every time I went to learn something, he used to write out by hand. The amount of times he would have taught something like the minor pentatonic scale, and every time write out by hand. Now, as a teacher, there's no excuse for that. If you're going to a teacher and they're writing stuff out by hand, especially something like that, unless it's personalised to you, something on the fly, you want to learn, something particular for you, then that's okay. But if it's something like a pentatonic scale or first chords or something like that, there's no reason now for not having that word processed. And straight away, you want to learn that, boom, there it is, let's get on with it. Not, right, let me write that out, take 20 minutes a lesson. And I used to have 2-hour lessons with this guy because 1 hour was him working out the song we're going to learn. The second hour was him transcribing that, so writing it out on a piece of paper. So I learned a lot from him. He, is, again, a great performer. So I learned quite a lot of performance stuff from him, but also learned how not to teach from him. Because the next teacher I had everything in a filing cabinet. Now, he was quite old school. He'd take out the sheet, he would photocopy it, but it was that next level. He had prepared stuff, he'd had a syllabus, which really opened my eyes. And I started teaching when I was around about 19, 20. So I started teaching very early on in my playing. I was only grade 3 when I started teaching. So it was great having him because it showed me that you should have a syllabus, how you should really run lessons. So I've really had 2 teachers like that where I went to them every week, pick up a guitar, play through it. In-person teachers, I've had 2, but I've had countless teachers. So I'd call people I learn online, teachers. Corey Congilio is one of my teachers that I learned through. Tomo Fujita is one of the teachers who I've learned through. I spent time with them for a little while. Do they know me? No, because I learned from their website or learned from their videos, but they're still my teachers. And there's been obviously loads of those over the years. And what other questions do we have? Which parts of learning did you find difficult? Lead was one of the ones I found quite difficult. I don't know why I used to find rhythm. Rhythm was never a problem. Lead was. So it took me a little while to get better at improvising, to get better as a lead guitar player. That was something I really had to work on. Rhythm I was quite good with rhythm from early on. Theory I've always been good with as well. It just seemed to click and make sense how music works. I've been in a few bands along the way. Originals band was my first ever band called Phoenix Green. That was like a band that I met the singer at Sainsbury's when I used to work at a big sort of supermarket when I was at college, earning obviously a bit of extra money, and we formed this band. We were the biggest selling band in my town, in my local record store. But we were for a few weeks, so I'll take that, that achievement. And, with the front cover of the paper, and we thought we were, the next, like, U2 or whatever, because we're on the front of our local paper. Like, yeah, that's us. Listen back to now and think, oh, God, that was terrible. We played the Half Moon in Putney in London, which is kind of like the circuit. So that was quite a big venue to play. I remember I went and saw Jason Mraz, and his support were playing Putney the week after, and I was like, we played there. Hey, we must be a good band. We weren't a good band. And we played the Student Union at King's College in London. That was the hardest gig I've ever played because no one clapped for us. We didn't get any love. We recorded it so we could watch it back, and you can hear everyone in the background going, "Who are these guys? God, they suck," which was really soul destroying. Then I played in some bands. We played weddings, function bands, soul monkeys, jazz monkeys, ones like that. And we played like big corporate gigs and things like that. That was good. But I've never really enjoyed playing. I kind of quite early on made the conscious decision to do teaching. Because I'd see people like my old teacher that was trying to do both. And his heart wasn't in the teaching. But I love teaching. I've always enjoyed teaching. I love the challenge of it. I love meeting, obviously, different people. I love seeing the journey of people through their guitar playing. I loved it. I love the creativity of it, of trying to find new ways to explain different concepts for people that maybe learn different ways and things like that. So I've always enjoyed teaching more than being on stage. I'm quite introverted as well. I don't really enjoy that sort of stuff, which obviously you see me on videos like this. I can go in front of people and talk, and it's kind of my alter ego, I suppose, coming out. I'm not normally like that. And do you have any guitar goals outside of growing Beginner Guitar Academy? Obviously, my time now is spent mainly on Beginner Guitar Academy. If I'm playing the guitar, it's recording videos, it's writing out music, it's transcribing stuff. I'm trying to get back into obviously doing it for myself and going back to my own goals rather than just doing it for other people. But I talk to my guitar player friends or guitar teaching friends about this all the time. When you start teaching the guitar, playing professionally, it becomes a career. And then, I'll be teaching all day, then come back. Do I want to pick up the guitar and practice my own stuff? I've been playing all day. I've been playing for like 8 hours and stand on my feet for that amount of time. So probably not. Then I'll do something else. So yeah, that's the only problem, I suppose, of making your hobby a career. It comes more of the career than the hobby. It kind of does that, which I still love the guitar. I still play it every day. But if I'm playing it as a job. So I'm trying to make money from it rather than obviously doing it for myself, which a few months ago I was making a lot more time for that. Because I was working with Kerry Too Smooth, who's a great R&B guitar player. So I was really enjoying doing that as a different style, like neo-soul sort of stuff, gospel playing. That was really fun. And then I stopped doing that. I can't remember why. I think I was working so much and trying to get level 5 finished and things. Just, again, took over, so went on to that. So that'd be something I'll probably go back into and, find that teacher that I really gelled with, which was him, and, really work on that style of stuff. And a different style is a great thing to do if you want more motivation. I never really played gospel stuff, never played that sort of style of music, or neo-soul, but love the sound of it. So it was nice exploring a whole new genre, a whole new style, and loads of new artists and stuff, which I've never normally listened to. So that was quite fun to do that. So hopefully that answers that question, David. And that is it for the questions, guys. It's already been quite a long episode. We're nearly up to the hour mark. So there's only a few more things I want to sign off with. The first thing is, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast. Great to have a rating review. If you go to your favourite podcast app, I really appreciate that. Also, go and check out Guitarshirts.shop. 20% discount for this weekend, only offered for the next few days. Go and buy one of our t-shirts. You've got the 2 limited edition t-shirts celebrating this 200th episode and loads of other cool designs. So come and check out my online guitar school, beginnerguitaracademy.com. This is a place to be if you're frustrated with trying to teach yourself, or you're frustrated with all the other websites we go on there and there's different pathways and a million and billion different videos, 100 different teachers, and you want simplicity. There's one teacher, there's me. There's one main course that will take you through all the skills you need to become a good guitar player. There's other videos for songs and riffs, and you can obviously do what you like for there. You've got the kind of buffet style there. But I've tried to make it easy. You come in, you go through a class, you learn everything you need to learn. Simple as that. If you have a problem, I'm there whenever you need me. You can send me an audio, text, or video through the website, whenever you need. And we check in regularly through video exchange. You can send me a video, and I make sure you're not developing any bad habits, and you're becoming the guitar player you want to be. And the best thing about Beginner Guitar Academy, you can take a 2-week trial just for $1 and give it a little test drive. So come and check it out, beginnerguitaracademy.com. And guys, that is it for this special episode, the 200th episode of Beginner Guitar Academy podcast. I'll speak to you next week for 201. Until then, take care, keep practicing, and I'll chat to you next week for another episode.